Hi YouTubers, welcome back to another video here on the Snowy Valleys Division layout, and today we're doing a layout tour on Steve's layout, which is HO scale, and his layout is here in Yass, which is a little town located in New South Wales, Australia. And so he's gonna give us a little tour around his layout and tell us about what they do and the operations that they have every now and again. And so, quick disclaimer, the video may be a little shaky as we run over things pretty quickly, but other than that, please enjoy it. If you're new around here, please subscribe as we're near 1,000 subscribers. And so, if you have anything to say, put it down in the comments and enjoy.
Historic railway. It's imagineered, fully imagineered, as going from Sydney to Melbourne via the coast. It's just after the coastline has been opened in 1955, so pretty much everything you will see on this layout might have been what you might have seen in 1955 on the South Coast line. So we start here at Sydney. That's the black painting on the bottom here is Sydney. And as we leave Sydney, we come round under, it looks really messy at the moment, but that's Newtown there. And as we come around the corner, I'll just duck in front of you. We come past the coal stage. Here we're in suburban area, so you can tell from the catenary and the automatic electric lights, that we're in the suburban area still. We come down to Adamstown, a typical suburban station, and you see in the background is a typical inner Sydney environment. We come down through a couple of industries, through your wonderful Coca-Cola factory, which everybody has to have. And then you come down into this gasworks station here, or it's not really a station, but the gasworks there. And of course, back in the 50s, it was quite common to have gas as your cooking and heating. Ausport, and as you can see, Ausport's kind of under development still, but Ausport is the only port for Sydney. It has the power station just near there, and the dock facilities. In addition, we're at the stage where we're just about starting to build Ausport Station itself. Servicing Ausport, of course, is our wool store and the obligatory beer factory. We then go through a tunnel which goes under Limestone Hill. We'll come back to Limestone in a minute, but we come under the hill and finish up at Violet. Now we'll notice if we do that the catenary finishes here, the electric lights have finished and we're now into semaphore signals. So this is where we leave the suburban areas and we go into the rural areas. If we look here from Violet and go back up the hill, we come up to Limestone, which is a limestone quarry. Now the idea about limestone is it's an isolated mine. The only way in and out is by train, so all goods and all passengers must come in and out via the railways. And because it's only a small place, you'll notice that we have a CCA carriage here. We've got a CCA carriage. Typical as used to run on the Yass branch, on the Yass tram line if you like, but that's our sole passenger in and out of Limestone. Also, it's pulled by the wonderful old 1300 or the 13 class locomotive. So as we continue south from Violet, we go past the Mother's Choice flour mill. Around the corner we come onto a Witten Bridge, which looks like it's single line, but of course it is not. It is actually a gauntlet track. It's a 10-mile-an-hour speed limit over here, and of course we have to miss all the nudes enjoying their sunbaking on the beach just there. But we climb this is the steepest hill on the layout now. Climbing up, you can see all the sand which has had to be used to get a grip climbing the hill. And we get eventually to the cement works. The cement works is a bit unique in the sense that it has its own locomotive which runs here. It's an old government M-class locomotive, and it still retains its old M-class number of 45, despite the fact that they stopped using those old numbers many years ago. But that loco is exclusively used here for the shunting, and here we make coal. The limestone comes in, coal comes in to run the boilers, and then cement goes out either in the bulk vans or by bags. The tunnel, you look up and you just see Mount Hope Mine, which is a coal mine. And the coal mine is reached by a zigzag which comes down and rejoins the system at Kangaroo Valley. Kangaroo Valley is, of course, in real terms, it's one of the prettiest places in Australia, and it's where this layout gets its name. But here we've imagined that coal has been discovered. You've just passed the mine. Coal has been discovered in the foothills, so it's kind of changed the place, not the least of which means it's now got a railway, which of course we may know that the actual Kangaroo Valley does not have a railway. But to service the town and also to service the mine, we have a moderately large yard with light loco facilities. And as we come a little bit further south, we'll notice there's a tannery, an abattoirs and an iceworks, which, as they suggest, is one of the other industries of Kangaroo Valley. A little bit further again, we see perhaps the more interesting aspect of Kangaroo Valley, and that is one of the very few prisons we have on the line. Now, on leaving Kangaroo Valley, we go into single track running. And as we come down the hill through our newly constructed mountains, we come to the sale yards. And here, lots of sheep and lots of cattle and probably a few pigs and other animals get to meet their fate. We'll notice also above the main line you'll see there's another line which is the line which is a branch line which leaves Kangaroo Valley, and it goes all the way up the hill till it gets to Alamob. But we'll get there later. We'll have a look at that later again. So if we come back to the main line here, you'll see that we're now approaching Museum. The museum station is here, and just off the station we have some heavy locomotive works, and a little bit further south we have the sheds where all sorts of historic wagons are stored. A bit hard to see in there, but we've got wagons that date back to 1855. Museum. We come first to the newly constructed refinery. It's not quite in full operation yet, but it's very nearly there. This has trains that come in, they import crude oil from Ausport and export refined petrol, diesel, to all around the layout. You'll notice too we have the Shady Tree or the Shade Tree motel and restaurant overlooking the industry area, and quite a number of tenements and things like that. I'm sure the rail fans love coming into this area just to watch the trains. We have a fertiliser plant, we have a steelworks, and we'll eventually have a scrapyard. And for some reason that's not my problem, so I'll see what I can do about that. Leave the industrial area, you come round the corner again, and we come into Eden, which is the brown section here. Now, Eden of course is just about on the border with Victoria, and so what we have here is the classic exchange system of you've got to pick up a Victorian guards van and a Victorian locomotive and of course Victorian drivers. So they make their exchange here at Eden. You can think that Eden is on a peninsula, so that trains all come in from the same direction and leave from the same direction, but if you leave on the left hand line you go all the way down to Melbourne. If you go on the right hand line you go back to Kangaroo Valley. Okay, we operate once a month. It takes up to 17 people to operate fully. For that we have myself as the increasingly fat controller. We have 3 station masters who are sit permanently at Sydney, Eden and Kangaroo Valley, and then all the others are drivers who keep themselves very busy. They run to a timetable. Every wagon and car on the layout has a card, and I can just show you here. This is a typical card. Shows the type and number of the tank, and then some details about it, and then on the back you'll find a card which, this is fairly classic stuff, which tells you what's going to happen to the wagon. And each loco has something similar. There's a loco card, it tells us speed, all of the, oops, sorry, my thumb's in the way. And on the back, oh, this one doesn't have anything, but you can say what functions operate the various things. Many of the guards vans on this layout have lit tail lights, marker lights, and they're operated digitally, as are the locos, so that we can actually turn them on and off. I'll see if I can get to do that for you. So we should be able to turn them off and on digitally, as you do with other things on the layout.
How many locomotives and cars they're operating?
Whoa. There are approximately 50 locomotives, one way or another, something in excess of 300 wagons, and about 100 or so passenger cars of various descriptions. And the whole thing is run to a timetable. We do have a clock. The clock is a 15-minute steps, so there's 96 different steps, each one representing 15 minutes. They're run with what we call a adjustable stepper clock, so that what happens is each of the station masters has a button to press. When his assignments for that period are completed, he presses the buttons. If all the buttons are pressed, then if the time has exceeded 1.5 minutes, it will step to the next one. So you can step to the next time unit in just 1.5 minutes. However, if the buttons aren't all pressed, then after 4.5 minutes, the number will progress anyway. So what we can have is a situation where we're actually behind schedule. That sounds remarkably like New South Wales Railways. But so many model railways wait until everybody's completed what they need to do. Here we have a system where you can get behind schedule, and if that's the case, then somehow you've got to work out how to catch up again. So that adds a little bit of extra excitement to the run.
Yeah, very good.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Steve, for showing your layout, and we were happy to see you running later.
Later on, okay.
Thank you.